could be overcome. Most of my friends would say, I want to be a Christian. I would like to believe what you believe. I see the benefits. I see how it all makes sense. I have a few hesitations. And so if that's the case, what do you do with that? And I think you get an example in the Gospels of what to do with that kind of doubt. The first thing is you embrace your doubt. I know you probably didn't come to church to expect to hear the preacher say to believers, embrace your doubt. You got to come to a place where it's okay for you to question your faith. If you don't begin to question your faith in a safe environment, then what will happen is when you get into an unsafe environment and you begin to experience a tragedy which shakes the foundation of your faith, or when you begin to interact with a skeptical person who has questions, probing questions about your faith that you're not ready to answer, your faith will crumble. And so you got to embrace your doubts in a safe environment so that you can leverage those doubts to strengthen your faith instead of allowing those doubts to go unnoticed, unaddressed, so that eventually someday in an unprotected environment they destroy your faith. Happens to countless young people all the time. And in colleges, high school, college freshmen, many college freshmen, they'll go to school and all it takes is one class, one professor, one lecture, and their faith crumbles. They no longer believe what they used to believe. Why is that? Because they had never embraced their doubt enough to chase and leverage that doubt to pursue the answers, to answer their questions, and all it took was one hostile environment for their faith to crumble. Same thing happens to high school seniors. Maybe that's what happened to you when you were young. Maybe that's what your son or daughter is experiencing right now. I tell believers all the time to embrace your doubt so that you can find the answers to your questions before you get into a context where your faith is threatened. You're not alone in your doubts. Maybe you grew up in a tradition where if you ever were to doubt your faith, that's just something you don't do. Maybe you grew up in a church you were never supposed to doubt you were never supposed to doubt your faith. And maybe that was because the preacher didn't know how to answer it, or maybe it's because your mom didn't know how to answer your questions, but you just weren't allowed to doubt. Or maybe if you were doubting your faith, that was a sign that you were living an immoral life. And so you were never honest about your doubts because you didn't want to be judged, you didn't want to be looked on in that way. This text is showing us, at least implicitly, it's okay to embrace your doubt. You're not alone.